What happens when two people who can't stand each other are stuck together at the end of the world? Hey everyone, and welcome back to my little corner of YouTube. This is my unscripted, The Author's Mind segment, and my name is Lindsay Pogue. I am a genre-bending fiction author. I write survival, adventure, romance, and today I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind since my latest book, Land of Ash, and that is whether or not I or you make decisions more out of instinct and experience or science and data. And the reason why this is so fascinating to me and why it's been on my mind is because my two characters are both very much on either side. And so the banter between them was so much fun. And so I really wanted to peel back layers and figure out why this was fun, where I fit into this, and know a little bit more about you too. So let's get into it. First, it's important to know that the world I created is science fiction. It's dystopian. It is a world and society that was greatly altered 10 years prior due to an asteroid that affected the moon's axis and then therefore changed life on Earth as they knew it. So, that being said, the weather, Mother Nature, is the absolute villain in this series, in this book, which takes place 10 years after book one, which is Skies of Fire. Instead of having the wildfires and the volcanoes continuously going off as I did there, I decided to go in a different direction. And what I wanted to do was really tackle the idea that scientists have been considering for years, which is what would happen to the United States if the Yellowstone erupted. It would be a super eruption that would devastate half of the United States, okay? So I was like, okay, let's go in a different direction, because what was even more fascinating to me and what I actually wanted to research and write about was volcanic winter. And that's because I had read an article years ago about an actual volcanic winter. It was called The Year Without Summer, and this was in I had to look at the date. This was in 1816. It was an entire year of crop failure, temperature drops, famine, social unrest. They attribute it to a volcanic eruption the year prior in Indonesia, but it affected the world. It affected specifically Europe and North America. So, after reading that and how fascinating it was, I was like, I want to write a book in this world. And let's be clear, Land of Ash was never supposed to be written anyway. When I wrote Skies of Fire, it was supposed to be done. But Harper, even as a character, she wasn't even supposed to be in the story. But she wrote herself onto the page as a little orphan girl in Skies of Fire drafting. Then she just tugged on my heartstrings. She never left. And as a result, I wrote an epilogue, a bonus epilogue for Skies of Fire from Harper's perspective 10 years later because I just couldn't get enough of her. And I wanted to know what the world would look like. And as soon as I did that, I was like, I really want to write in this world, especially when Dean walked onto the page. And I was like, oh my gosh, this enemies to lovers, this vibe, this world is fascinating to me. And so, what do you know? Here we have Land of Ash is coming out, or it's already out, depending on when you're watching this. And this was a really fun and fascinating book to write. I got to do so much research on volcanic winter. And yes, I have taken some liberties, but in general, it is very realistic in a lot of ways. So let's talk a little bit about Harper and Dean, because Harper and Dean, they're the perfect foil. They complement each other because they are such opposites in so many ways. Absolutely love everything about them. This is some of the best banter that I've ever gotten to write is between these two characters, and I loved every second of it. And the reason why it worked out so well is because not only are they enemies to lovers, we'll just say, they're not really enemies, they're more kind of like rivals. But Dean is very science-minded. He studies weather patterns and he reads books about science. He is very much about numbers and data and understanding the world. That is not who I am as a person. My brain does not work that way. So it was really fun to write him and kind of get out of my own comfort zone. But Harper is very instinct-based because Harper has not had an ideal upbringing even before the end of the world. As an orphan, she was making rash decisions. She was doing what she could to survive. And then what do you know? the world ends in the first book, and she's trying to struggle and find family and all those, everything that comes along with the world ending in book 1. And she's never gotten to breathe. She's always constantly, even in her story, Land of Ash, 10 years later, she's grown up, but she's still making those life-altering decisions. She's still listening to her instincts and how to survive. She still has to be rash sometimes. She does have to, like, it comes with experience, right? And so Harper is very, very bitter about science couldn't save the world 10 years ago. What makes anyone think that science now could do any better? Whereas Dean is the complete opposite. And he's like, we need to understand what's going on so that we can write this, or we're going to be struggling and or dying. You know, we need to be able to thrive. We need something better for the future. And so that's why the push and pull and the play on the characters is so chef's kiss in this, because they complement each other so well. Something else worth mentioning is that creating these characters that are so completely different from each other was really instrumental in creating such great banter and character development within Land of Ash, because we all think we know each other. We all think that we have each other figured out. We have grudges or we have judgments about people, and we don't actually know their true story. We've never walked in their shoes, just as they have never walked in ours. And so what was really amazing about writing these two characters is really getting to experience those moments throughout these really intense forced proximity situations, because Mother Nature is essentially thrashing them this entire story. Really sitting with them and being a part of their understanding of each other and the little details that they learn about each other in these circumstances that make them stop and look at each other differently and understand why they make the decisions they do, and really empathize with it in a way, even if they didn't see it before, because they never took the time to get to know each other. But again, forced proximity really forces these characters to see each other differently. So it was the weather itself was a really great way to show the contrast between these two characters and how their character development is only richer because they're so different in the beginning of the story. But as they slowly get to know each other more and understand each other's reasoning, and based on their experiences that they've had, it built respect and then friendship. And then it can obviously blossom into something more. And those are really important to character development, especially in a love story, in my opinion. I started thinking about who I was and where am I on this line? I look at a textbook and my head hurts. You know what I mean? Whereas I know some people are like, I would rather know what that information is than guess. Whereas I'm like, I feel very drawn to making this decision. It feels right to me. This is what I'm going to do. But I am a survivor too. And I have survived sanity-wise in a lot of ways by listening to my gut instincts. It's always really fun for me to peel back the layers of my stories and get to regurgitate all the things in my brain. I'm never eloquent, but I absolutely love storytelling, and it's so fun for me to be able to share this with you guys. And also, let me know in the comments, which are you? Do you make your decisions more out of instinct and experience? Do you listen to your gut more? Or are you more like, I need the data, I need to really be clear and conscious about what decision I'm making and why? So let me know where you land on the spectrum, and I will chat with you next time. If you would like more information about writing, if you're ready to get Dauntless, you can check out my writing community, The Dauntless Author, and more information about my books, where you can find them. All of that is in the description below. I will see you next time.